Welcome to another episode of the SportsBros Podcast, featuring the Almighty B Live, the Money Man Scotty D, and your host, the head of creative, Eddie Cool. And without any further ado, let's give it up for the Sports Bros. Hey, what's going on, world? This be your boy Eddie Cool, aka the HOC, and you are tuned into episode 90 of the Sports Bros Podcast. Yep, that's right. A new year and another year of your favorite sports podcast, the Sports Bros Podcast. Of course, you don't already know, my name is Eddie Cool. I go by the HOC. To our new listeners, what's happening, y'all? How y'all doing? And to our old listeners, thank you for coming back week in and week out to this here podcast that you love so much, the Sports Bros Podcast. But of course, you know I can't do this by myself. I got one of the two best co-hosts in the world that's rolling along with me on this ship called the Sports Bros Podcast. The one, the only, the pride of Washington, Pennsylvania, the Money Man, Scotty D.
Happy New Year, Eddie Cool. I am happy to be back with you here after taking a little break last week to take in the holidays. And as you said, we're glad to have our listeners back with us who have been with us here the last couple of years. And welcome to those who are listening for the first time. As he said, we are not sports experts. We are sports fans. So if you think you're going to hear some in-depth knowledge and some former athletes, nah, just us talking sports, couple couch potatoes.
Yeah, well, I was a former athlete. I played football at the rec league level, and then one time in high school I accidentally caught an interception and scored a touchdown as a lineman. But you know what?
Oh man, I had a fantastic interception in my backyard as a kid in a 3-on-3 game. I was something else back then, Eddie Cool.
Hey, those are the best. The Almighty B Live, the other person of the Sports Bros Podcast, he'll be joining us shortly later on in the program. Also, don't forget to check out his latest version of What Happened, where B Live just picks on Scotty D and talks about some of everything. So make sure you check that out on our YouTube channel as well, too. Scotty D, it's NFL football season. 17 weeks is done. We decided who's going to have the number one draft pick, and we also decided who's in the playoffs, and they got to find out who's going to go to the Super Bowl. As we know, the Chiefs and the Packers, they're the number one seeds in their respective conferences. The Chiefs in the AFC and the Packers in the NFC. So everybody else is going to be a slugfest. We got a whole bunch of games going on. 2 extra wild card spots. It's going to be crazy, Scott. It's going to be real crazy.
Yeah, triple headers on NFL triple headers on Saturday and Sunday. All playoffs, all mean something. Couple grudge matches in there. A couple games I'm really looking forward to seeing. Couple, but that's playoffs. A lot of times by the end of the playoffs, we forget who was even in the first round. But hey, right now we are gearing up for the first round. The first time this has ever been done in this particular format, where only one team on each side gets the bye, and everyone else has to fight it out and play the extra week. Early in the season, I was pretty sure that the Kansas City Chiefs were going to just steamroll right back on into the Super Bowl. The NFC I was not as sure of. What do you think, Eddie Cool? What do you like when you look at the playoff matchups here? Is there something you like, or is there one game you're really excited to see?
Let's see. There's one game I'm excited to see is Joe Gaffigan's Washington football team versus Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I know you're thinking, Eddie, why the hell are you excited to see that game? I'll tell you why. It's the story of how a football team with no name won their division. We'll talk about that later. Won their division and going to the playoffs. Like, Scotty, if that ain't 2020, I don't know what is. But it's 2021, but it's a lingering effect of the 2020. I don't know what it is.
This is still the 2020 season, so anything crazy still goes as far as that goes. And everything did go crazy on Sunday night, man. A lot of criticism being launched at Eagles coach Peterson for pulling Jalen Hurts with a 3-point deficit. What did you think about that, Eddie? Let me ask you your opinion on that situation.
I think it was
Yeah.
silly. At this point, it's like, okay, you got nothing to play for. Just go ahead and play out the season because the Eagles, they got a whole bowl of mess they got to figure out anyway. Because I guess from what I understand, Zach Ertz might not be coming back. They might be blowing the team up as far as I'm concerned. And Dougie P, he still might have a job. Carson Wentz, we hear, back and forth about trade rumors about him and the coach not getting along. It's a mess in the city of brotherly love.
But don't you think he made it more of a mess?
Who, Doug Peterson?
By pulling Jalen Hurts, I mean, all season long he's getting questions. Are we going to get Hurts in the game? When are you going to put him in? Are you going to, bench Carson Wentz? That he was dealing with that all season. He puts in Jalen Hurts. He gives him a little spark. He plays okay for a couple weeks. But don't you think it would have behooved them to have him in a situation like on Sunday night where he actually had a bad game? I think he was 7 of 20. And his the points they did have on the board came from him running, not throwing. But don't you think it would have helped the Eagles to get a look at this kid in a pressure situation, trying to make a comeback win? I mean, they were only down 3. They could have been tied. He went for the lead, and Hurts didn't come through. And he's saying he's giving Nate some look. I mean, Nate Sudfeld. I mean, we know he's not going to be an answer. He knew that. So why not let Jalen Hurts just play out the string in that game? To be quite honest, I don't think that they were going to win the game anyway. I know the Giants fans were going crazy, and as a Cowboy fan, had the Cowboys won earlier Sunday, I would have been losing my mind. I would have been, blaspheming left and right.
Yeah.
But so I'm sorry. Get back to my point. I don't think that he was going to lead the Eagles back to victory. I think Washington was going to win that game anyway, but I think Peterson made a mistake there. I think he made a bigger mess because if he is going to be around next year, and it sounds like he is, and Hurts is going to be around and be your quarterback, he already kind of alienated him with that move on Sunday night. He's already going to go in with a scar next season. That's how I felt.
I feel the same way too. It's like you can't put this kid in. You're only down 3. Like, you're only down 3, not by 10, not by 5, not by 15. You're only down 3. So you need a couple good plays, and then you kick a field goal, and then you can possibly tie the game. I mean, you gotta. I think in this situation with a rookie quarterback like Jalen Hurts, you got to give him a chance to earn the job because. The whole Carson Wentz experiment, it was good while it lasted, but after the Super Bowl, it just fell apart for him.
Yeah, that was more than an experiment. That was an investment.
Yeah, and then you want to turn right around and give him some more money. And in the words of the Almighty Be-Live, he ain't worth the money. He just ain't worth the money. And so now you have a situation that's where, okay, you got a quarterback that don't want to be there no more. That relationship is fractured. And then you have an up-and-coming quarterback in Jalen Hurts who's out there trying to make something happen. But in a crucial game for the football team and let's see let's go ahead and look at some stuff for next year kind of game for the Eagles, you pull them out. This does not bode well. This does not do any good, no whatsoever. It just doesn't. It leaves a sour taste in my mouth. I'm like, okay, you only down 3, and it got to the point where Chris Collinsworth and Al Michaels, they tried to make sense.
They were not happy with that situation either. But nonetheless, I think it took away a little bit from Washington's victory. But nonetheless, Washington earned that. Because once the Cowboys lost, obviously I'm rooting for the Cowboys, as you very well would have guessed. Once they go down, and you got the Giants sitting at 6-10, I kind of had to root for Washington because I would have been embarrassed for a 10-loss team to make the playoffs out of the NFC East. I mean, it's already bad enough they're 7-9, but at least that's happened before a couple times. I think Carolina did it once, and I think maybe the Saints did it once. But a team with 10 losses being in the playoffs would have been tragic, while you have on the other side the Dolphins going home with 10 wins. So anyway, hey, we have a very loyal listener in Joe Gaffigan, old buddy from college, and he is a big Washington mark. So congratulations, Joe. I know you're happy, and best of luck facing Tom Brady. It's a home game Saturday night.
Yep. Don't you know Tom Brady at the tender age of 43 has thrown for
Wow.
40 touchdowns? Yeah, go yeah. Yeah. Makes you wonder who needed who. Did Belichick or did
Doesn't
Brady?
make me
It makes
wonder,
you
buddy.
wonder.
I've made my case for Brady over and over again. It doesn't make me wonder.
Well, to the
Yeah.
skeptics, to the skeptics, it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
higher nightmare now. But moving right along, Scotty D. Now, when we're talking about the Chiefs, we're talking about the Packers, we're talking about the playoffs. Which teams do you think can prevent these two very teams from meeting in
All
the
right.
Super Bowl?
So if everything goes according to script, the number one team in each side comes through and goes to the Super Bowl. That doesn't happen
Mm-hmm.
all the time. In the past years, there has definitely been a case made for the teams that had the bye weeks. The 1 and 2 seed teams have generally advanced. Having the week off has helped. There's
Mm-hmm.
only one team in each side now that's happening to. So odds are those two teams are going to be playing against each other in the Super Bowl. But that's not a given. So the question is, which team do we think that is in the playoffs has the best chance to interrupt that and prevent that matchup? I kind of think the Buffalo Bills have the best chance overall. They're playing good football, Eddie. I mean, earlier in the year, I was a little unsure of them. I said they're up and they're down, and they win some games, but not very impressively. But they've impressed me the last few weeks here. I think they're rolling. They look solid on both sides of the ball. 13-3 is nothing to sneeze at. They end up taking the number 2 seed, where they were actually at one point kind of an afterthought because the Steelers at one point were 11-0. It looked like it was going to be them or the Chiefs having that bye week. The Bills snuck in there. If I would pick a team from the NFC, I think I'm going to have. I would. This might surprise you, but I would probably say Tampa Bay. I think they're going to. I'm looking for them to beat Washington in advance. So out of all the other two games, I think New Orleans will handily defeat Chicago. I really don't think the Bears are that impressive. They have quarterback problems. I think the Saints defense are going to eat Trubisky up. I'd like the Seahawks to beat the Rams, but that's a game that I feel is more of a toss-up than any of them. But as far as Tampa Bay, I mean, they quietly have been pretty good in the last month of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier in the season, you heard a lot of criticism of Brady, and he's not looking too good. And I think wasn't Tampa 7-5 at one point, and now they finished the season 11-5. And it seems like Brady has quietly kind of locked into a groove with his receiving core. That offense is rolling. They have a good defense already. Experience at quarterback position, obviously, when it comes to postseason. I think if anybody can upset the Packers, that would be the team. I don't trust the Saints. They have postseason problems every year. I think Green Bay will easily handle any of the other teams. I just feel like a Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers thing would be a marquee matchup, and Brady and the Buccaneers could hang in there and maybe beat Green Bay. I wouldn't put money on it, but if I'm going to say somebody from the NFC, that's who I would say. And I think the Bills are the obvious choice in the AFC. What say you, Eddie Cool?
All right, so what say me over in the NFC? I'm gonna have to agree with you, Scotty D. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they look the most formidable. They look the most formidable against stopping the Packers because they did beat them once this year already.
Oh, that's true. That's right.
That was Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, that was Aaron Rodgers' worst game of the season. He's been on
and
fire
he's going to have
since.
revenge on his mind. So I may have to just scratch that whole answer I just gave.
Yeah. Well, no, man. Hey, it's the playoffs.
True.
It's a whole nother season, man. Things change. Stand by your answer. Stand by your answer. I'm like you, man. When this whole Saints Chicago Bears game, I forgot all about the Chicago Bears. To be quite honest with you, I forgot all about them. They literally backed up in the playoffs. Yeah, they literally backed into the playoffs because the Cardinals lost and everything. The Saints will find a way to somehow, some way stub their toe. They ain't got to worry about Minnesota. They took care of them during the regular season, but they ain't got to worry about Minnesota, so they'll find a way to stub their toe. The Seahawks and Rams, it's a little toss-up, man. The Seahawks will probably get the best of the Rams because they have what's the backup quarterback name?
Know,
I forgot his name.
I don't think Goff is going to be ready, and if he is, I mean, the thumb is still broken, right? I mean, it's not like it healed in a week.
Yeah, he had surgery, so that's not going to go there. So the Buccaneers, they'll get the football team. Hey Joe, it is what it is, buddy. Let's be real. And yeah, I think the only legitimate threat to the Saints would have to be legitimate threat to the Packers would have to be the Buccaneers. But as we said, this is going to be a big time revenge game for Aaron Rodgers, and he got blood in his eyes.
No,
Blood in his eyes.
I'm not outright dismissing the Saints though. I do think they're the number 2 seed. They're 12-4. They do have a legitimate threat of knocking off Green Bay, but I just don't think that they will. Honestly, right now, I think Green Bay. If you say let's have the Super Bowl right now, the way they used to do in college, and say the 2 top teams are going to play each other, I think Green Bay would beat Kansas City right now. I really do. I think Aaron Rodgers is playing at an incredibly high level. He's putting points and yards up every single week. He even had a bomb he threw the other day that was dropped. That was, they ended up scoring 20. I think that would have put 35 on the board. He's magnificent right now. And Patrick Mahomes, all year I've been saying he's going to be the MVP. And now I don't think that that's going to be true. I think it's going to be Aaron Rodgers the way he's played, especially in the last month of the season. I just think that, Kansas City has been winning, but not impressively, whereas Green Bay, man, they won in the snow last week. It didn't even act like it was snowing. They were running their offense like nobody's business, run Tennessee right off the field. So, while I do think that the Saints have a chance, anybody's got a chance, Eddie, honestly, but the one who I think has the best chance, I think, would be Tampa Bay. Overall, I think the Bills have the biggest threat to the Chiefs. What do you like in the Tennessee-Baltimore game? That's kind of a grinder game right there.
Listen, Derrick Henry has just, has topped 2,000 yards in rushing this season. Listen, hey, look, Derrick Henry gonna do it again. I think the Titans will go ahead and take care of Baltimore the way it is. And see, this is another one of those revenge games, because remember they thumped them out the playoffs last year. But Ryan Tannehill, we did question okay, why is he getting all that money? Apparently, the Ryan Tannehill experiment has worked because he's hasn't made many mistakes during the season, and he's been doing what he's told to do, and has the playbook curated to him. Other than that, it's Derrick Henry, and he was a Buffalo slapper, a Lion slapper. Now he's about to be a Raven slapper.
Yeah. He man, I tell you, I heard I heard Brandon Marshall talking on TV this morning, and he said the most valuable player of the league this year is probably going to be Aaron Rodgers, but he said it shouldn't be. It should be Derrick Henry, and I didn't agree with him until he started talking, and I'm going to go ahead and agree with him. That's who I think the MVP should be this year. It should be Derrick Henry. And the reason that Marshall gave is he said, this guy gained 2,000 yards. He gained 200 to get there in the final game of the season that meant something. And he said, not very many people in the history of the NFL have cracked 2,000 yards in a season. He said, that's the reason Tennessee has been good, because of him. Now, that doesn't mean that Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, aren't the reason their teams are successful. But when it comes to most valuable, the Titans have absolutely rode Derrick Henry's back. And the guy's just not wearing down. Could you imagine, actually, they clanked in a field goal on Sunday to win that game against Houston. It's possible that ball hits the upright, bounces out, they go into overtime. He could have run for another 60, 70 yards or so. He could have had about 300 yards on Sunday. He's got speed. He's got the stiff arm. He's got power, and he can play in bad weather. He can just roll you. I'd like to see him play again another week. I'd like to see them beat Baltimore.
Yeah, because once he gets started, he's hard to stop. So the legitimate threat to Kansas City would be Buffalo. Buffalo is just on fire, the hottest team in football. They are playing some outer worldly football. One guy, he scored Isaiah McKenzie, he scored 3 touchdowns on Sunday. Are you kidding me? You have 1,000-yard receiver. You got Stephon Diggs. You have Cole Beasley. Your running game's not too bad. Josh Allen not out there making stupid mistakes like he did the first few years in Buffalo. And not to mention that defense is pretty stellar, although they are missing a lot of pieces, throughout the season, but they're still holding it down and doing what they have to do. And then Buffalo is just making it do what it do, man. They're making it do when it counts the most. The Colts, they backed up into the playoffs.
But they won 11. They won 11 games. That's not to sneeze at. They won 11 games. They had a good season. I think they get overlooked and discounted a lot because they're not the national game of the week every week. You don't see them in prime time every week, but they've had a very nice season. Their biggest stumble was the game against Pittsburgh 2 weeks ago, where they had the Steelers down and out and choked, cost themselves a chance to win the division. Are we dismissing the Steelers too soon here, Eddie? They're playing Cleveland in a back-to-back week grudge match. The Steelers came back. We're in the game there at the end of the game without Roethlisberger playing on Sunday. Obviously, Roethlisberger will be back in the lineup. The Steelers at 12-4, but 1-3 in their last 4 games, or actually 1-4 in their last 5 games. Are we dismissing them too soon, or do we think they get back on track in the playoffs? What do you think?
It's going to be a fight between the Browns and the Steelers. By the way, the Browns made the playoffs for the first time since 1975. No,
75.
It seems like forever, man. Since since 2002. That's the year I graduated high school, Scotty D. That's how long they've been out of the damn playoffs. They sniffed it 1 year. They went 10-6, but didn't make it. That was that 1 year. I think it was them and Kansas City did make the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, so it's going to be a fight. The Browns are really, really, really going to have to tighten up because they almost let it slip towards the end of the game. And with Big Ben needed his rest, and some of the starters needed rest. Don't forget T.J. Watt. He led the league with 15 sacks, and so he'll be back out there. So they'll have the Steelers on firing on all cylinders, just as long as Deontay Johnson just don't get a case of dropsies.
Well, I'll tell you, I think with Roethlisberger having a week off, I think that gives him a decided advantage to get a little rest that arm, get a little arm strength in him. And I actually think playing Cleveland, the element of familiarity is going to help Pittsburgh because they don't fear Cleveland. They've owned them for many, many, many years. So I think if there's a team that they could play to get back on track, I think it's the Browns. Now, I personally hate the Steelers. I'm going to root for Cleveland. I'm just going to tell you like it is. I've never made any secret that I'm a Steeler hater. But I actually think they'll win this game on Sunday night.
Yeah, the Browns are going to give them a fight. The Browns are going to give them a fight, man. Baker has been a lot better than he has the past few years, and that's good. They need to get that running game going with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. Once they get that running game going, they'll be good, fine, and dandy. So, Scotty D, like I said, the threat in the AFC would have to be the Buffalo Bills to the Chiefs, and then the NFC would have to be Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Would be the threat to the Green Bay Packers. They're playing some out of world. Oh my God, Aaron Rodgers. I've had a chance to see either bits and pieces or a few of his games. Number one, because Aaron Rodgers was on my fantasy team, and number two, he was on TV as Aaron Rodgers, and every time he goes on that field, it's short work, but he piles up the points real fast. I mean, I saw a stat yesterday. Towards the end of the year, I look at stats and everything. Like Robert Tonyan, a virtual unknown tight end, he has 11 touchdowns. Devontae Adams has 18 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers has 48 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. And I mean and this is the second. I think he has the second all-time highest QB rating in a season. The guy he's behind himself.
And
are you serious?
I remember when he won. I think I may have even said this on the show before. I remember when he won the Super Bowl against Pittsburgh a decade ago. I remember thinking, this guy's going to win a bunch of Super Bowls. Well, now here we are. I think he's 38 years old, 37, 38. He's getting towards the end of his career. He still only has that one Super Bowl on his resume. I still can't believe that when he retires, he's going to have one ring. And I think this is his best chance to get it right now. This team's clicking. He's playing well. His receivers at the beginning of the year, we would say he doesn't have any receivers. Well, he does, and partly it's because he's making them because he's putting the ball in their hands. But they're rolling, and I think right now that's the team I would say is your Super Bowl favorite. That with the Chiefs, they've been to the mountaintop. It's harder to stay there, I think, than it is to get there. I hear a lot of former NFL players say, there's just something about the repeat season when you try to go back. It's harder to do. But we'll see. We'll see. Both teams getting the week off, Eddie.
Yeah, they're getting a week off and all. We got a bunch of football to watch this weekend. A
Let me ask
bunch
you
of
this. Let me ask you this
football to
question.
watch. All right,
I said that I think Derrick Henry
go
would
ahead.
be my MVP choice. Who did you say? Aaron Rodgers? You kind of agreeing with that?
Yeah, I'm gonna throw Aaron Rodgers. I'm not gonna lie to you. I
Yeah.
love watching Derrick Henry every time the Tennessee Titans are on. That is some must-see TV. I wish back then I would have choose him instead of Ricochet as my
All right.
must-see athlete.
Well, what about Coach of the
Okay,
Year? Who do we
now,
like as Coach of the Year?
okay, Coach of the Year. I said last episode. Well, actually, no, I didn't say it all. I was gonna say Kevin Stefanski. I think it is. Kevin Stefanski is a shoe-in for Coach of the Year, but not so fast. I'm going to have to give it. I would have to say, 1A would be Kevin Stefanski because he turned the Browns around. Was a quiet leader and let his players do what they do, and that's their thing, and play ball, and got them back to the playoffs for the first time since 2002. My 1B would have to be Ron Rivera of the Washington football team. Think about it, Scotty D. Ron Rivera walked into an absolute mess between a team that was struggling with its identity, with the name change formerly known as the Redskins, now known as the football team, the whole Alex Smith situation, dealing with the whole Dwayne Haskins situation, COVID-19, got a brand new rookie defensive stud, and Chase Young. Daniel Snyder doing his mess. There was a lot of off the field mess. Not to mention this man was getting leukemia treatments and everything. He dealt with a lot, and to come back and to guide this team to the way he has, I'm telling you, man, 7-9 now, but pretty soon that division is going to be tough, and he has a good amount of talent. He has a great amount of talent between the running backs, Antonio Gibson, Scary Terry McLaurin. Like I said, on the defensive side of the ball, see, they got a defensive-minded coach in him. So he's going to mold them and shape them and make them really good.
They are building the
defense
from the inside, from the defensive line out. So, but I think that the record that you mentioned is the reason why he can't be. He's under 500. So I can't rank him as high as Brian Flores even from the Dolphins. I mean, he did an outstanding job. Took one on the chin to the Bills on Sunday and got eliminated. And I think that would eliminate any chance he has. I think Kevin Stefanski from the Browns is going to be the obvious choice. I think he's going to unanimously win it, or whatever, overwhelmingly win it. I do think. His name escapes me. The Buffalo Bills head coach has to be recognized too. McDermott, yeah, because
McDermott, yeah, Sean McDermott.
That team has been completely turned around from a losing culture into they're ready to jump off table or jump out of trees through tables and all that stuff again. I mean, they're going crazy up in Buffalo, and I think they're actually going to let some fans into this game on there's a Saturday, or they're the first game Saturday, so they may have some fans allowed back in. But credit to him for turning that team around. But as far as like the single season goes, for the Browns being 11-5, he tried to give it away with that Jets loss last week, but he made up for it by beating Pittsburgh. So I agree. I think most people would probably go with that answer as well. Stefanski.
Yeah, Stefanski. Yeah, he's just. I'm looking at him. I'm like, wow, you should see the city now, Scott. It's a whole different vibe in the city. This is not that 0-16 or next year. Well, next year is right now. Yeah, next year is right now. Yeah, when he first got hired, I said, okay, this is a good hire. Run 2 tight end sets, going to run the ball, what he did for Dalvin Cook. But I didn't know he was going to do what he did with what he had this fast. I just hope he doesn't. I just hope he doesn't.
Well, I think a lot of that's going to rely on Baker Mayfield. I still think he is the X factor and all that because the defense looks fantastic. He's got a great running back core. His receivers are good. And it's just I think it's going to come down to Baker.
It will come down to Baker. All right, Scotty D. Who had the most disappointing seasons, in all of football right now? We done talked to everybody in the playoffs, but now we are on the other side where you have teams like the Panthers, the Jets, the Giants, the Cowboys, and so forth and such not making the playoffs. So who had the most disappointing season or seasons?
My obvious answer is the Cowboys because a lot of people, myself included, thought they were going to be a legit contender in the NFC this year. I didn't foresee such an incredible downswing with the defense. I never saw that come. Obviously, you don't predict Dak Prescott's going to break his ankle in Week 5, but they were already suffering while he was there. They won the game. He got hurt to go to 2-3. The defense was bad at a historic level. I didn't see that coming to that degree. Hopefully, I mean, today as we record, it's Black Monday. I hope Mike Nolan's gone by the time I go to bed tonight as defensive coordinator. To be honest, I want him out of Dallas. I'd like McCarthy to be out of Dallas, but I don't think that's going to happen because I think he made some tremendously questionable in-game decisions all year. So I think the Cowboys would have to be a very obvious answer, but I also think that the San Francisco 49ers have to get a little bit of recognition for that because they too were injury plagued. And this is a team that was 10 minutes from winning the Super Bowl, 11 months ago. And they had a horrendous season. Again, largely to blame with the injury factor. We didn't even hardly see Jimmy Garoppolo play this year at all. But I'm sure San Francisco would like a do-over for 2020 as well. Who do you got? What do you think?
San Francisco 49ers, I expected more out of them, but they went to New York and everybody just fell apart. They lost 13 players in one game or something like that. It started with Nick Bosa and the dominoes just kept dropping and falling. It just got real bad, real ugly, real fast, real quick. Yeah, the 49ers, man. The 49ers were one. Let's see. I expected a little bit more out of the Minnesota Vikings, but their defense was just ravaged. And they got close, but they never got to, back to respectability.
Houston had to be wildly disappointed here.
Yep. Houston, you know what? I'm gonna say this about Houston. Goody. That's what you get. Because how in the hell do you trade away an all-world wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson, who ain't been good since that bomb fantasy year he had, and a bag of peanuts
they were
and a
asking
pack
for
of
trouble
Dodgers
by
chicken.
letting Bill O'Brien stick around for the season, and he's not there anymore. And a team we mentioned earlier too, the Eagles, they have to be pretty disappointed.
Yeah, the Eagles are bad. The Patriots
but I think the Patriots can't be considered as disappointing because their expectations were lower. They had a lot of guys that stayed home this year because of the COVID situation. Obviously, they lost the greatest quarterback of all time. Some questionable drafts of years past are starting to haunt them a little bit. So maybe the fans are disappointed that they thought that Cam Newton coming in would lead them to at least a playoff berth, but that didn't happen either.
Yeah, that didn't happen either. So Scotty D, like you mentioned earlier, as today we are recording is Monday. Not only is it regular Monday,
Black Monday,
which means some coaches got fired. All right, so let's see who got 8-6 within the last 48 to 72 hours. Chargers coach Anthony Lynn, he got relieved of his duties on Mondays after 4 seasons with the LA Chargers with a 33-31 record. The Chargers made one playoff appearance during his tenure. But at the end of the season, the boys they try to hold together for a man and won 4 straight. But we got Justin Herbert out the deal. And let's see, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they also got rid of general manager during the season, and they also got rid of Doug Marrone. Now, you remember on the last episode where I was like, Sports Illustrated interviewed Miles Jack, and they said, Shad Khan will usually interview the players, but hey, well, how do you feel about having, do you think Doug Marrone should come back? He said, absolutely. So I wonder if Miles Jack will be going where Doug Marrone is going as well too. It got real bad real fast. Only good thing came out of that was them getting the number 1 overall draft pick, and Adam Gase finally, bug eyes. Good God. So we're just gonna have you here. You're gonna win 2 games, and then we're gonna fire you. At this point, just bring on the water because we know what's gonna happen with Adam Gase. It's just ridiculous. He's beyond gone.
I never understood that in the first place. Wasn't like he blazed the trail in his own division in Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, Yeah, I don't know. And also, let's see who else got X6 this season. Matt Patricia gone, and Matt Patricia, Bill O'Brien gone, and Dan Quinn gone as well too. But Scotty D, do you hear rumblings of the potential head coach for the Jacksonville
Talking about Urban Meyer?
Jaguars? Yes, I think Urban Meyer said, "Look, you want me to come out of retirement? That's going to cost you
Yeah,
about
I
$12 million
also
a
kind of feel
year."
like Urban Meyer might be the kind of coach that he's going to want a little bit of player personnel control. I don't know if I think actually Jacksonville might be a team that would give that to him. They have an owner who is not what's his name, Khan. He doesn't seem like a meddlesome owner. He's not. Well, Jerry Jones is obviously the biggest example. He seems like kind of a let the guys, hire the guys, let them do their jobs kind of guy. I don't think Jacksonville has a general manager right now, do they?
No, so
He
if
might.
Urban Meyer is
He
smart, he
might.
might give him
Yeah.
a
So
twofer deal.
he
He might be,
that's going to be interesting because I think Urban Meyer being around the game, and I know it wasn't NFL, but he has a great reputation as a great football coach. I think a little tad overrated myself, but that's just me. But he has obviously a great track record. I could see him having at his age, he's not like a young up and coming coach where he just wants to get hired. He just wants to get on, get in the system, get in the game. This is a guy who's been around. I think he's going to want to be able to have a little bit more control than maybe the Jets would be willing to give him, or the Chargers would be willing to give him. One of these other teams, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Jacksonville went that way. Last year his name came up when the Cowboys were looking for a head coach, and I think that would have been a terrible fit because, I think he's going to want some control, and obviously you don't get that in Dallas.
No, you got in Dallas. You got to be able to lay down and take orders. I don't give a damn if he does hire you to do the job. I'm gonna still have my little things into Big Suey. Yeah, good old Jerry Jones. What's something else I saw? I saw this in passing. Atlanta Falcons possibly interviewing the offensive coordinator of the Kansas
Eric
City Chiefs,
Bieniemy.
Eric Sleepy.
He's going to get himself a job this year, and I would be shocked if nobody hires the defensive coordinator from the 49ers. Was it Salah? I think it is. Yeah, those guys seem to be hot candidates.
Yeah,
and so the coaching carousel begins to go around. Some of these openings, I think we're going to have to wait to find out because obviously guys are in the playoffs. So let the fun begin.
Yep, and let the fun begin. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats, Pikachus, dogs, and monkeys, that's it for the NFL playoffs and what happened on Black Monday. We're going to take another turn in the college football, Scotty D. Guess what? The bowl games has been played and the matchups have been decided. But, Scotty D, what did you take away from these
first of all,
bowl games?
The Ohio State game, Clemson game, didn't go the way I thought it was going to. Now, I'm not completely surprised that Ohio State won, but I'm surprised that they dominated. They dominated that game, and they dominated at the line of scrimmage, and that surprised me because if you look year in and year out, you had these top teams: Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma. These programs who are perennial contenders, they put out tons of great position players. You always see wide receivers, running backs, quarterbacks come from these schools that are considered among the best. To me, the Clemson standouts the last couple of years have been on that defensive line. Clemson defensive line has seemed to be just dominant the last 4 or 5 years. And that was not the case in that game against Ohio State. Those guys were getting blown off the line of scrimmage. They weren't getting any pressure at all on the quarterback, and that cost them dearly. I also thought Trevor Lawrence looked a little skittish in that game. He looked a little shaky. Again, Ohio State's defensive front was, seemed to be in state in the trenches. Surprised me. I would say. I think that they controlled the line of scrimmage in both games. Alabama rolling over Notre Dame did not surprise me at all. I kind of think we all suspected that was going to happen. And if I was to guess, I would say that Alabama is going to win that game next Monday night. But that's me. I'm not the biggest college football analyst, but from what my very normal eyes see, I would guess that Alabama wins that game.
I'll say this, man. Alabama's
they're
going to be
number
a tough
one.
out because whatever Notre Dame threw at them, Alabama just had it, and it got to the point where Notre Dame just didn't have it. And I said to myself, "Is this going to be 2012 or 2013 all over again?" It wasn't as close, but it was the same result with Alabama pretty much like wiping the floor with Notre Dame. I mean, Notre Dame, they had some glimpses, but that's all they had. I mean, between Najee Harris and then the wide receiver, I can't think of his name to save my life, and then they might get that other wide receiver back. And if they get that other wide receiver back, then Ohio State is in trouble.
And Fields is hurt.
In big trouble.
He's going to play. But, he took a shot.
Yeah.
He took a shot on during that game.
Oh, it was nasty.
And
yeah,
I might be in the minority here, but I didn't think that kid from Clemson, Skalski, is that his name? Yeah, I didn't think he should have been ejected from that game. I didn't like that targeting call. Actually, I've said this before. I hate that rule in college football where a kid gets a penalty and then you kick him out of the game because it's decided by men sitting in a booth watching this in super slow motion. Now, you didn't make the decision when you saw it in real time because it happens like that. So you sit and you watch it, and it's not fair. This is 2 years in a row now this kid got kicked out of a game, and last year's I think was more egregious. This year, I mean, where's his head supposed to go, Eddie? He actually led with his shoulders, and Fields went towards the right into his head. If Fields at all drifts to his own left, he gets hit with nothing but shoulder pad. I don't like that rule. If you're a repeat offender, then maybe, but this kid, to my knowledge, that's the only time that's happened to him this year. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know that 100% to be true, but no one referenced it if it did happen earlier this season. But for a bang bang play like that, Eddie, this kid gets kicked out of the game.
No. Yeah, I'm with you, Scotty. That rule has to be looked at, and like you said, you got guys in the booth looking at it, with the variable of it being slowed down. It's kind of like, okay, well, it's a bang bang play, and it's unfortunate for the kid because now the kid probably has a label of, hey, he can't form tackle right, and he might be Romanowski Jr. He might be another dirty player. You know what I'm saying? And see, he really don't need that. He really need that. But it's just
that's what you play for to get into that playoff.
No,
and that's 2 years in a row now. This kid's been pulled out of that game, and I just, I didn't think it's fair. If you want to say that's a penalty because he led with his head, okay, throw the 15-yard flag. But to kick a kid out of the game like that, and I don't know, and it impacted the game too because he's important to that defense. He's a good player. He's right there. He's in the center of everything going on. I hated that. I actually didn't like the call, but I hate the rule even more. I don't like that at all. I've seen it happen too many times where kids get kicked out of the game, and it's something that happens so fast. It's not dirty. It's if you're repeatedly doing things to injure other players, it's not. Then I understand it. But I mean, he threw his helmet forward, or his head was forward, but he was down on the ground. He wasn't targeting the guy's head. He hit him in the ribs. I mean, it wasn't like he went for his head and tried to knock him out. That was not intended to be dirty. I absolutely hate that. I hate it so much.
Yeah. Scotty D, what do you say? What does the NCAA need to do?
Check themselves before they wreck themselves? Oh, yeah, do better, please.
That too, but do
better. You have to do better than that. And Ohio State fans, let me tell you something about Dabo ranking your team 11. Okay, if you're a boxer and you're 4-0 and you're really, really good, do you deserve a title shot more than somebody who's 9-0 or 10-0 or 11-0? You don't. It doesn't mean you're not good. Dabo wasn't saying Ohio State's not good. What he's saying is these teams that won 9, 10, or 11 games deserve to be ranked higher simply for the fact that they won 9, 10, or 11 games. They didn't really play 5 and then get a championship gift. Come on with that. Come on. I know you're on Facebook and you have to meme it out and make fun of Dabo for losing. And you're now 1-3 against him. So let's not act like you own the guy. He wasn't trying to slight Ohio State. He even said they could beat us. They're good enough to beat us. But the whole 11th rank thing, come on, Buckeyes.
Yeah, you think they wasn't gonna? You like dude, that's Baltimore
I know
material.
that,
You
and
think
maybe
that wouldn't come
Dabo
on
should have
now? Come
downplayed it,
on,
not said as
come.
much about it. I mean, but come on. I mean, to act like to act like he was like dissing you because he said that he ranked you 11. He's just giving more respect to the Cincinnati's and Iowa States and Coastal Carolinas because they played full schedules this year. It's not your fault you didn't, but you didn't. It is what it is. And he was recognizing those other teams for getting through and winning 9, 10, 11 games. So there's one more thing I'm right about. I'm taking Bama.
All right, Scotty D, who we got winning this thing? Alabama, Ohio State. Who you got? Yeah, even though I live in the state of Ohio, up here by the lake, hey man, Bama looks unstoppable. Bama looks like the juggernaut. I can see Najee Harris running over somebody, jumping over somebody.
I'm betting on
the
Nick
receivers
Saban.
all over the place. Look, it's yep. You're gonna bet on Nick Saban. Hey, don't you know? I think it was I forgot when it was, but I looked at a this day on history post, and Nick Saban was like, "Nah, I'm not leaving Miami to go to Alabama." 3 weeks later, so best decision he's ever made, and Nick Saban's gonna get him another one, man. Gonna get him another one. So college football playoffs. It'll be an 8:00 game. It'll be Monday, January the 11th at the Hard Rock Stadium in Florida. At least the weather will be somewhat nice. But Alabama won. Ohio State number 3. Alabama. They favored to win. By how much, Scotty D? How much?
I think this will be the kind of game that will be somewhat close by halftime, and Alabama will wear them down and sprint away from them. Maybe a 2-touchdown win in the second half.
Yep. All right. Let's see. Another bowl game. You got Texas A&M, a team that everybody said should have been in there. They beat the brakes off of North Carolina State 41-27 in the Orange Bowl. And didn't Florida, they got handled by Oklahoma in the Cotton Bowl 55-20. And Scotty D,
we're down to
that's gonna be it for college football.
Down to the championship, man. Down to the last 2 teams. And I think at this point there's got to be some relief that they even got through the season and were even able to have a championship just based on the way things look back in August when nobody knew what was going to happen because of COVID-19 and how it was going to affect college football. So I think a lot of the heads of the conferences are at this point just like, we got through it. Thank God.
Yep, they got through it, man. It takes a lot. They got through because I was wondering, like, they gonna get through this or what? What the hell's going? What are we gonna have a full season? I thought they're gonna stop it altogether. I thought we were probably gonna see some college football in the spring, but
that was a possibility.
Yeah, but right now we got college basketball during the wintertime, and we probably gonna have some more stuff in the near future. But at this point in time,
what, Eddie Cool?
And Scotty D, guess what? Once again, it is our favorite portion of the show. And with that being said, hey, yo, button, one time for 2021. Hit it!
And now, our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices.
And for the first time in 2021, thank you to the wonderful and ever so lovely Miss Button for introducing our favorite part of the show. You heard the woman. Look, 90 episodes in, all right? We ain't got no right to lie, mislead, fabricate, embellish. What's other words for lying, Scott?
Lie.
And we ain't got no need to do all that. No, we don't, baby. This is a favorite part of the show. The choices of the voices. Scotty D asks the questions. You give us the answers. We pick at you. We have some fun. But all in all, we get to hear from our listeners who we value so much. Like I said, once again, shout out to our brand new listeners. Welcome. And to our return listeners, thank y'all for coming back. All right, Scotty D, enough of me ramming my mouth before I get off track. What's the question for this week's Choices of the Voices?
All right, to finish up 2020 and start in 2021, we asked, what would you like to see happen in the world of sports in the year 2021. What do you want to see happen this year from the sporting world? And Eddie Cool, we had a couple of answers that were pretty creative here that came our way.
Yep, we got some pretty good answers here. Pretty good answers. All right, the big boss man, Bruce Diamond, he said there can only be one answer for any American for the Bills to win the Super Bowl.
That was not very creative, but very understandable. Bruce Diamond was my boss at Overtime and suffered through many, many years of not watching his team go to the playoffs. And congratulations, because the Bills are legit. And they're not. I'm going to tell you, they're not going to be a one-year wonder. That they are here to stay. That is a team built for several years here. So congratulations there, Boss Diamond.
Yep, they're going to be hanging around for a while. Trey Dizzle, he says, I want to see the Dallas. Here come the foolishness, y'all. Just to let y'all know, man, before I get started reading Trey Dukes, a.k.a. Trey Dizzle's answer, 8 times out of 10, it's going to be some foolishness. This is one of those 8 times right here, all right? Trey Dizzle says, I want to see the Dallas Cowboys trade Dak Prescott and their number 1 draft pick to Jacksonville, draft Trevor Lawrence, trade Michael Gallup for another first-round draft pick, and then begin a 10-plus year run with the next Peyton Manning.
Oh, if only it were that easy.
Yeah?
If only it were that easy. Here, Jacksonville, take Dak Prescott in our top pick. Sure, Mr. Jared Jones. Take Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. As if that would be that easy. But you were on point when you said Trey Duke was going to give us some foolishness there. Trey Duke, for those of you who are not familiar, is a big Dallas Cowboy fan like myself, and he is a big Dak Prescott hater.
Ooh, big time. That's bad when you hate your quarterback.
It sucks.
Very bad. Very bad. Very bad. Was he celebrating when Dak broke his ankle?
Yeah, he was not disappointed. I'll tell you that. He said the Red Rifle would be able to lead us to the playoffs. He almost did, but
yeah.
It shows you why Dak is a starting quarterback and Dalton is a former starting quarterback. But anyway, let's move on.
With an interesting head of hair. Anyways, our big homie Joe Gaffigan, Washington Tater Skins, the WTFs, the team that with no name that won the division made the playoffs. He said in 2021, I hope the Black Lives Still Matters in sports. I hope for the continued unity in sports. I hope LeBron James gets another ring and the Wizards squeak into the playoffs. I hope, unless the NCAA goes away.
Useless.
I hope
he says the useless NCAA goes away.
I'm sorry, yes. I hope the useless NCAA goes away. Yeah, they really need to. I hope my potato skins, a.k.a. the WFT, keeps trending in a positive direction. And last but not least, I hope for peace and prosperity to the SportsBros Podcast Nation and everybody else. Be safe.
All right, Joe. Thank you, brother. Greatly appreciate that. I think that the unity in sports will continue on. I agree with that. I'd love to see LeBron get another ring just because I am a Laker fan. Ooh, the Wizards. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs, but you never know.
You never know, man. It's the Eastern Conference, man. You never know. That's a lot. That's a lot going on, Joe. A lot going on. Shout out to Joe Gaffigan once again for a very good answer. Sean Connors said the Jets to win 2 more games.
Sean Connors is a Jets fan. It was so disappointed whenever they won that first game and thus put them behind Jacksonville and the 8-ball as far as the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes goes.
Scotty D, I should use my journalistic acumen and do a mini, 20-minute biography on this season as a New York Jets fan. It's some great entertainment, man. Great entertainment. Hey, you never know. Jets fans, come holler at your boy. I got nothing but time. Please holler at your boy. I got nothing but time. Looks good on the resume. All right, Sean Connors. The best name in the game, Joe Comfort, he says, to see Roger Craig, one of the most versatile running backs who ever play the game, get the call from Canton for his well-deserved gold jacket. Yeah, I like the sound of that.
Yeah, I don't know what Roger Craig's overall rushing total ended up being for his career, but he also caught a lot of balls. And actually, Joe kind of replied on there too that Roger Craig was one of the first, if not the first, to have 1,000 yards rushing and receiving in one season. So I'd say his credentials are there. That'd be cool to see him get a jacket.
Yep. All right, the birthday boy, Uncle Max, he says, my wish would be to get this virus under control so all the fans could attend games again.
Here. I think that's everybody's wish for 2021 with sports.
Yeah, man, universal answer. William Jarger, he said, people just need to accept the reality that LeBron James is the GOAT. Happy New Year's. And he says he misses you, buddy. That's you, Scott.
Yeah. Happy New Year, Will. Thanks, brother. LeBron is not the GOAT, but anyway, that's an argument for another show.
Yep. Another argument for another show. David Romito, he said, I would like to see someone knock out the YouTuber. Maybe me. Also, Connor, Khabib, Tyson Holyfield, that wouldn't be bad either. Lastly, I'd like to bring my family back to the ballpark again.
Yes.
That would be nice.
Yep.
So we got 2 for attending games again.
Yeah. And the YouTuber, he's talking about that clown that's supposed to be fighting Mayweather.
The check chaser, yeah. That's number Pro Wrestling 101.
Yeah, what's that dude's name?
Was it Logan Paul, Jake Paul?
Something like that, yeah.
Paul Wall, Paul Masson.
I'm not embarrassed that I don't know his name.
Me neither, man. I'm not checking for this cat, man. He was on YouTube, did a lot of stuff, made a bunch of money off of it. Hey, I want to fight somebody. Okay, I'm going to parlay this to a celebrity exhibition boxing career. But when Floyd knocks his ass out, he's going to learn that, hey, this is for real.
Stupid.
Yeah, hey kids, get a job, live life. Sometimes it's YouTube fame. It ain't what it cracked up to be. But with that being said, Scotty D, that's it for the choice of the voices from the listener's point of view. So what you got going on, Scotty D? What did you choose?
A couple in 2021. I, like everybody, would love to see the fans, including myself, be able to go back to games. I missed going to see baseball this past year. I really did. In 2021, I would like to see Tiger Woods and or Phil Mickelson win a tournament, preferably a major. Those guys are on the downside, the back nine, if you will, of their careers. Mm-hmm. And I would like to see them. These guys seem to put together like maybe 2 good rounds in these tournaments, but they haven't been They didn't this past year anyway, where they were actually competing to win. I'd like to see that happen again. I'd like to see Roger Goodell wither up and dry away and just not be part of the NFL any longer. I'd like to see the NFL in 2021 dismiss the idea of having 17 games next year, which they aren't going to do. That's going to happen. And in 2021, I would like to see Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford fight, because the UFC gives us fights that we want to see every single month. And we're getting one here this month. We're going to get Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier in just a couple weeks. And I'm super excited about that. That's another thing in 2021. I'd like to see McGregor fight more, because he's been on the sidelines on Twitter for the better part of the last 4 years instead of being in the octagon. If he's not going to shut up, get in there and fight. Let's see what you got left here. See if some of these young up and comers can take it. Meanwhile, boxing continues to tease us with the different organizations and promotions not getting guys into the ring. And I'd love to see the 2 pound for pound best right now, Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, get in the same ring and slug it out. I think that would be fantastic. I think that would be good for boxing to get them back in. I don't think they need to keep wasting time. It was years late when Pacquiao fought Mayweather, and that was like the dream fight. Well, here we have a potential dream fight. Let's do it. Let's do it in 2021. Eddie Cool, what do you got, buddy?
Yep, don't pee it down the leg. Speaking of boxing, Scotty D, you know who I want to see get a title shot in 2021?
Who's that?
Our boy, the knockout guy. What's his name?
Berlanga?
Yeah, Berlanga.
Yeah, well, he's still slugging away. I'm sure we'll see some more knockouts from him this year. It's only a matter of time before he gets a title fight.
Yeah, I want to see Edgar Berlanga get a title shot, like Uncle Max, and what's the other fellow's name?
Ramito.
Yeah, like Uncle Max and Ramito. I want to go see some live football games or a basketball game. Or I think the last event I went to before everything got crazy, January, I went to a taping of a live AEW Dynamite in Cleveland at the Wallstein Center. And I think earlier that month, if I'm not mistaken, or that following month, I went to a Cleveland State basketball game. I think they played like Florida International University or something like that. So those are like the last two events I went to. So I'm trying to do that again. I'm in a sports where I'm in a city where they love the sports. I want to do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also want to see in 2021 Brooks Koepka be the bomber once again. You know what I'm saying? Because he was missing from out the scene. I want to see some more Brooks Koepka in my life. I want to see a uninterrupted NCAA basketball tournament.
Yes.
I want to see uninterrupted March Madness. I think the whole tournament is going to be in Indiana this year, right?
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken. Yep. I want to see that. I also want to see, what else do I want to see? I want to see a lot going on. I also want to see the Carolina Panthers be good once again. Now, after this rough season, because I'm not going to lie to you, my expectations for my team was very low. New coach, new quarterback, new everything. Who this? What else do I want to see? I want to see, I'm like you, Scotty D, Conor McGregor, quit talking and get in the ring. I want to see him fight as well, too. And I also want to see what Shane Beamer is going to do with my beloved University of South Carolina Gamecocks, because as right now, all roads really don't lead Dabo. had to get that in. Hate. Yeah, so that's just a few things I want to see, man. I want to see sports. I want to see just this competitive spirit. Just keep going, man.
Universally, I think everybody just wants the fans back.
Yep. That's
the biggest thing. I think in 2020, once the pandemic kicked off, we felt like we were fortunate to have sports, but now I think we really just want to get back to normal and get the fans back.
Yeah, because there's not too many times I can watch baseball and be like, okay, there's nobody there. There's pumped in chants or whatever. And don't you know Korean baseball is still going on? And they're still showing it on TV. I'm like, guys, we actually got a football and a basketball season and college basketball. We actually got seasons going on. Well, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yep.
So, that's general consensus, Scott, for me, you, and everybody else. We just want to get back in those stands. We want the fans to come back because the fans, the fans, they play an intricate role in it. Don't believe us? Just watch 2020's Royal Rumble when Edge came back, and then watch an episode of Raw a month and a half later. You see the difference. It was different. Yeah, they say that's a new norm, but hopefully, slowly but surely, they curb this doggone disease down there. Everybody do what they're supposed to do. Some will, some won't. We'll have our normality back one day. I feel it. And 2021 will inch closer to it. We need to quit beating. Be nice to each other too. Yeah, I want more of that as well too. That's outside sports. That's on the humane side of things. I want everybody to be nice to each other. Quit being mean and stuff like that. All right, Scotty D. We give a shout out to Bruce, Big Boss Man, Trey Dizzle, Joe Gaffigan, Sean Connors, best name in the game, Joe Comfort, Uncle Max, William Jarger, and Dave Romito for their contribution to this week's edition of Choices of the Voices. Scotty D, what's on tap for next week?
All right, I'm going to ask all you football fans to assume, or just, I shouldn't say assume, pretend that you are the most sought-after NFL head coach out there. What job would you like to have? There's what we got right now, the Jaguars, Jets, Falcons, Lions, Chargers, Texans, any of those. What are the jobs that are available or that will be hiring for NFL positions? Which one would you take if you were the person that was asked to be the head coach of those jobs?
Oh, this is gonna be interesting. Very, very
because you got to consider what do I have on the roster already? What do I have coming in? Where am I drafting? What city am I going to be living in? Who's the owner? All that stuff. So, if you could have any of these head coaching jobs, which one would you take?
Very interesting. Well, you got T-minus 6.5 days to figure out your answer for next week's edition of the Choices of the Voices. Scotty D, that felt good to be back in the saddle with another edition of the Choices of the Voices. So you know what that means, don't you?
Time to go home and let's
Pepper, you know how we do it. 3 topics, rapid fire style, kind of, sort of, not really. You're gonna learn something, you're gonna laugh, but overall it's just going to be good, plain, informational fun. And Scotty D, I'll go first. On this day in history, back in 1971, the Harlem Globetrotters, you remember, Yep, the Harlem Globetrotters, they lost. Something they don't do a whole lot. Yeah.
They must have.
They lost.
They played the Bulls?
No, but they played the New Jersey Reds.
Ah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they played the New Jersey Reds, and it ended a 2,495 game winning streak. All right.
That's a pretty good. It's hard to believe they never won a championship.
Yep. So here's how it worked. Okay. So Meadowlark Lemon misses the hook shot at the buzzer. Globetrotters lose to New Jersey Reds 100-99. They must have been playing extra defense. Okay, so I'm looking at something from Yahoo Sports, and it says the New Jersey Reds upset the Harlem Globetrotters 199 on a buzzer-beating shot in overtime by the team's owner, Red Klotz. So the owner sank the bucket. Wow. At the time, Klotz said it was like, we killed Santa Claus.
Oh, man.
After the game, January 5th, 1971. Fans in Martin, Tennessee were aghast that their favorite team had just lost to their traveling companions. The Reds will eventually become the Washington Generals, the team they kept losing to the Globetrotters until this very day. Klotz is the only non-Globetrotter to get his name on the Ring of Legends. Yeah, so Red Klotz and his team, he sank the shot back in 1971 and said it was like, damn, it's like we killed Santa Claus. Over to you, Scotty D. Wow, that was wild.
Oh, poor Santa. All right, so Eddie Cole, you alluded to this a few moments ago, but the NCAA will host or will have the men's March Madness basketball tournament all in Indianapolis this year. All 68 teams will compete and play most of the games at multiple venues in Indy. Some will be in Bloomington, some in West Lafayette, but the teams will stay in hotels connected to the Indiana Convention Center. This is going to be like a bubble for March Madness. As of right now, they say the fans are going to. It's still undetermined. It looks like they are going to allow family members to watch the game. How many? All that's undetermined, but at least we are going to have March Madness this year. And if you remember last year, this stuff happened really a week ahead of March Madness. It was during the conference championship week conference tournaments is whenever the COVID began to affect sports. That's whenever everyone started canceling everything. And unfortunately, we'll never get that tournament back, but we are going to have it this year. So thank God we are on the right track for March Madness.
All right, Pepper Point numero dos. On this day in history, back in 1993, Reggie Jackson, Mr. October, yeah, one of the best clutch hitting postseason hitters of all time in the sport of Major League Baseball, he gets elected to the Hall of Fame. Yep, pretty storied career. The 14-time All-Star, was a 5-time World Series champion, the 1973 MVP, a 2-time World Series MVP in 73 and 77, the 4-time leader in home runs in the American League, 73, 75, 80, and 82, and he's just a bad man. Reggie Jackson, taking his place in Cooperstown. Over to you, Scotty.
Mr. October.
Yep.
All right, so Sunday night, we already discussed what happened with the Eagles and the Washington football team and that kind of silliness that happened. But there was a little silliness that I happened to notice that I actually got to give a shout out to. In the second quarter, Logan Thomas caught a touchdown pass from Alex Smith, giving the Washington football team a 17-14 lead. I think there was a minute and some change left before the half. He was so excited he got up to do his little celebration and do a ball spike. And as he went to celebrate, wide receiver Terry McLaurin came in to give him a high five and got left hanging. He went to get some dap, no dap. So what did he do? He gave himself some dap. He shook his own hand, took a little bow, and ran off the field while he left others to celebrate. That's the kind of thing that I can really appreciate, some self-deprecating fun. You see all these goofy celebrations going on. Green Bay doing choreography and all that goofiness. But to see Terry McLaurin give himself a self-high five and not leave himself hanging, that was a priceless moment in that game for me. It might be on YouTube. Go check it out.
All right, here we go. My third and final Pepper Point. I didn't have one, but I said, wait a minute. Let me go scrounge up something right fast, because sometimes we come up with things on the fly on the SportsBros Podcast. And speaking of Hall of Famers, on this day in history, back in 1957, the Dodgers, Jackie Robinson announces his retirement rather than be traded to the New York Giants. He said, you know what? At this point in my life, I'd rather retire as opposed to be struggling with some diminishing skills. I guess you could say the man wanted to retire on top. Can't be mad at him for that. Because sometimes some guys just don't know when to quit. And Scotty D, speaking of guys that don't know when to quit, don't you know Jaromir Jagr is still playing hockey?
Playing. He was playing when I was in high school, I think. And that's been a long time ago.
Yeah, Jaromir Jagr was playing. Like, he got drafted in 90, still playing. He's been playing for 11 years. But, hey, man, to each his own, man. Shout out to Jaromir Jagr for wanting to play till he's 70, because he about what? He like 47, like 48 now. And, yeah, the Jackie Robinson say, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and get up out of here while the getting is good. Over to you, Scotty D.
All right, the NBA is back, and Steph Curry is back. Now, I'm not ready to get fully engulfed in the NBA just yet, because I feel like we just got out of it not too long ago. But we did not get Steph Curry in the 2020 season, and now he's back, and he put 62 on the board the other night against the Portland Trail Blazers. He was 8 of 16 from downtown, 18 of 19 from the free throw line. Eddie, you think that's impressive, but let me tell you what else he did. In practice, the dude made 103 consecutive three-pointers out of 105. 103 in a row this dude hit in practice. That's what was reported. I didn't see it. I saw highlights of him shooting from the corner, but I didn't see all 103, nor did I count. That, again, reminds me much of myself in the driveway here in Washington, Pennsylvania when I was a kid. So not only was I a backyard football legend, I was a driveway hoops legend. And that's all I have to say about that. My final Pepper point.
All right, that's another edition of Pepper. And guess what? That is number 90, the 90th episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. It feels good to be back, because I'm not going to lie to you. The week we had a break, I didn't know what the hell to do with myself. I was walking around the house, eating up all the food, looking crazy, drinking up all the water. But nevertheless, I was thinking about you guys. I was thinking about the Money Man Scotty D, the Almighty B Live, and everybody in our Sports Bros Nation family. Before we go, we want to give a quick shout out to Trey Duke. Why? Because he is the second ever champion in the Sports Bros Podcast fantasy football.
That's unofficial. That's unofficial. This season was played under protest, so we have controversy.
We got to recount the votes.
Yeah, there's something suspicious going on in the fact that one of the Sports Bros, me, was drafted last. So this is under protest. But okay, Trey Dizzle, enjoy your interim championship till we decide what to do about it.
Oh wow, interim championship to see. That's wild. That's wild.
Congratulations, Trey Duke.
Right. Yep. All right, so B Live usually does this part, but I'm going to go ahead and do this part. You can find me. No, well, you know where to find me. This be your boy Eddie Cool, the HOC, here at the Sports Bros Podcast. I'm going to tell you where to check us out at. You can check us out on our Facebook like page, titled The Sports Bros Podcast, our Instagram account, also entitled The Sports Bros Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at The Sports Bros PCast. You can check up our YouTube channel and also visit our WordPress website as well, too. I'm going to be writing stuff, looking kind of busy. You can find me on Instagram, Cool Season, all one word. Snapchat, SuperCool5000. SportsMe, SportBro19. I'll be working, doing all kind of stuff. I'll be busy. Real busy. Also, I got my album with me and Lamario Beach, Too Much Free Time. The album is out now, so go get it. Go get it. Go get it. Show love and support. Scotty D, I'm stretching myself thin. Where can they find you? Damn.
You can find me on Facebook, y'all. Just check me out. I post a question on our Facebook page and my own Facebook page, The Choices of the Voices, every week. So that's where you can answer if you'd like to participate in the Choices of the Voices. Again, the head coaching vacancy was the question of the week, but check us out on Facebook.
Yep, that's where you can find us at. Yep, we are all over the place. You can find the Almighty B Live at Max Speed Shop, 42 North McPherson Church Road, Fayetteville, North Carolina. Got a bunch of beer, got a bunch of food, and they're closing in 8 minutes, so you better hurry up and get your butt in there and get out. All right, Scotty D, Anything to say before we get off this here phone and watch a little bit of wrestling and crack some jokes?
No, I just want to say thanks for joining us for our opening episode of 2020, everyone, and look forward to joining you for the next 51 weeks of the year.
Yep, the next 51 weeks of the year, which means we got a 100th episode coming up soon. Scotty D, I think we should do a special edition of SportsBros Podcast. We should just open up the forum and let the and let our listeners ask us some questions. What you say about that?
Ask away.
Ask away. And if y'all got any ideas, please feel free to let us know. And with that being said, and then in closing, do something nice for yourself. And if you can, do something nice for someone else. They'll greatly appreciate it. Please be a blessing and don't be a burden. And now, more than ever, don't be an ass. Wear your mask. It's been another episode of the SportsBros Podcast.
Do better in 2021. Yes, sir.
Please, for the sake of humanity.
Yes, sir.